Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this book is called Krishna Consciousness, the Matchless Gift. There are 7 chapters in this book. So we'll see the first, Spiritual Knowledge Through Krishna. So Prabhupada starts by saying, the aim of this Krishna consciousness movement is to bring all living entities back to their original consciousness. So Krishna consciousness means to be conscious of God, to always think about God. This is our original consciousness. All living entities within the material world are, to varying degrees, afflicted with a type of madness. That's very interesting. No? Prabhupada here states that everyone in this world is a little kind of different crazy, right? A different kind of a crazy. So with varying degrees, some people are extremely crazy, thinking themselves to be God. Others are lesser crazy, but still quite big, thinking themselves to be the doer. So this Krishna consciousness movement aims at curing man of his material disease and re-establishing his original consciousness. So I was just thinking that when Prabhupada wrote this, to everyone is, a little crazy. If you look at modern day today, mental health is a big issue, right? If you see this screen here, so in 2019, they did a research about the state of mental health. And they found that a lot of young adults, right, 30% of the people who they surveyed, had mental illnesses, had difficulties. All kinds of illness are there. All over the world, no one is spared. US, Asia, Europe. We see another finding that they have scanned at least 970 million people. They seem to have mental illness, but Prabhupada here is saying is 100%. But the kinds of disorders, people get schizophrenia, conduct, these are all medical acclaimed mental disease. But the mental disease that we are talking about is bodily consciousness. That's also a mental disease, right? Controlling Ishvara Bhav, thinking myself to be a separate controller, thinking myself to be God, thinking there's no God. These are all different kinds of mental diseases, mental illness. Very interesting. Prabhupada is saying, everyone is crazy actually. In a Bengali poem, a great Vaishnava poet has written, when a man is haunted by ghosts, he can only speak nonsense. Similarly, anyone who is under the influence of material nature should be considered haunted, and whatever he speaks should be considered nonsense. So this is something that Prabhupada has quoted many times in his lecture also. Who is this personality? This is actually, you can see this quotation here. Okay, this is actually Jagadananda Pandit, and this comes from his book called Prema Vivarta. So this is one verse that Prabhupada keeps quoting. Pisachi paile jena mati chana hoy. Pisachi paile, seeing a ghost, right? What happens to a person? Mati chana. The mind becomes disturbed and you start babbling. Similarly, Maya grashto jivera hoy. Se bhava uday. Similarly, the Jiva Atma who is trapped or caught by Maya is also crazy. Right? The Jiva who's caught by Maya is like a person haunted by ghosts. They talk nonsense, do nonsense. So simply the Jiva within this world is also like that. Prabhupada is connecting. So that is Jaganananda Pandit. Right? So continuing. One may be considered a great philosopher or a great scientist, but if he is haunted by the ghost of Maya, illusion, whatever he theorizes and whatever he speaks is more or less nonsensical. Right? It's interesting. So as long as we are thinking we are this body, we are thinking that this world is real, putting a lot of effort in investing in it, it's crazy actually. Today, we are given the example of a psychiatrist who, when requested to examine a murderer, proclaimed that since all the patients with whom he had come in contact were more or less crazy, the court should excuse the murder on those grounds if so desired. So I don't know what situation this is. This is probably something at the time, 1970s. But anyways, the point is that in the material world, it's very difficult to find a sane living entity. Someone is actually realizing the truth. The prevailing atmosphere of insanity in this world is all caused by the infection of material consciousness. Very bold of Prabhupada to say that we are all crazy. The purpose of this Hare Krishna movement is to bring back to bring man back to his original consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness, clear consciousness. When water falls from the clouds, it's uncontaminated like distilled water. But as soon as it touches the ground, it becomes muddy and discolored. Similarly, we are originally pure spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. And therefore, our original constitutional position is as pure as God's. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, we have seen this sloka a few times, Mama ivamsho jivaloke jiva bhuta sanatana manasastan shashtani indriyani prakritistani karshati. The living entity in this world are my parts and parcels. They are eternal. But due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with our senses and mind. So this is the biggest illusion that this world is giving out, and we're living, and therefore it's crazy. Sometimes Prabhupada gives this example: if you go to mental asylum or a place where they keep mental patients, you'll see a guy in the prison and he's shouting, "I'm the president, let me out! I'm the president," but he's crazy. Like, he say, "I'm the prime minister, I'm the president of this country, let me out, let me out." But the doctors just laugh and say that he's crazy. So similarly, we are in this world, we are also shouting that I'm a man, I'm an Indian, I am this, I'm that, I'm this caste, I'm this creed, right? And we are acting in that terms. But actually, we are just all servants of Krishna. We're supposed to love and serve Krishna. But no, I'll build a skyscraper, I'll buy a new car, I'll visit a different part of the country, I'll make millions of dollars. There's no sense in that actually. Thus, all living entities are part and parcel of Krishna. By Krishna, it should always be remembered that we are speaking of God. Krishna denoting the all-attractive Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a fragment of gold is qualitatively the same as the gold reservoir, so the minute particle of Krishna's body are therefore qualitatively as good as Krishna. So we are also like small particles of gold, and Krishna is the gold mine. The chemical composition of God's body and the eternal spiritual body of the living entity are same spiritual. So Krishna is Satchit Ananda, but he's like an ocean. We, not this body, but we, the soul, actually is also Satchit Ananda, but very small part. Thus, originally in our uncontaminated condition, we possess a form as good as God's. So we see how beautiful God's form is. We actually have that kind of a beautiful form, but we want to be covered by this dirty, smelly, rotting form. Just as rain falls on the ground, so we also came in contact with this material world, which is manipulated by the external material energy of Krishna. When we speak of the external energy of material nature, the question may be raised, whose energy, whose nature? Material energy or nature is not active independently. Such a concept is foolish to think that this whole world is functioning on its own. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that material nature does not work independently. When a foolish man sees the machine, he may think that it is working automatically, but it is not. For example, if you go to a printing press and you see the machines printing papers, the papers are moving forward, like, wow, the book is making itself, you think. The binding comes, the two books come together, they press together, and the book comes up. Wow, you say, the machine is making the books automatically. But actually, there's a human intervention. There was a person who invented the machine, made the machine, tweaked the machine, set in motion, and pressed the button. So we don't give credit actually to the machine. There is a driver, someone in control. Although we may sometimes cannot see the controller behind the machine due to our defective vision. There are many electronic mechanisms which work very wonderfully. Behind these intricate systems, there is a scientist who pushes the button. Very nice. This is very simple to understand. Since a machine is matter, it cannot work on its own accord, but must work under spiritual direction. The tape recorder works, but it works according to the plans and under the direction of the living entity, a human being. A machine is complete, but unless it is manipulated by a spirit soul, it cannot work. Similarly, we should understand that this cosmic manifestation, which we call nature, is a great machine. And that behind this machine, there is God, Krishna. So this machine is, creating bodies, creating food, creating nourishment, destroying. It's like a big game. The material nature is creating life, allowing you to live, giving you all the enjoyment, and then also finishing you. Right? But behind this machine is Kṛṣna. This is also affirmed in Bhagavad Gita, where Kṛṣna says, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sachara charam hetunangena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. So Kṛṣna says that this material nature is working under my direction, Maya adhyakshena prakriti. And it's producing all kinds of moving and non-moving beings. Sometimes you see a game, like I'm not sure if you have played a pinball game, right? Where there's a ball, you launch it, where it shoots up and it falls, and you have to use the flippers in the casinos they have. So the ball comes down, you hit it, it goes up again, you touch that, knock this, knock that, falls through the gaps. Then as it goes down, hit again, it goes up, and you score points and you do all that. Pinball, it's called. But then after some time, when you're not careful and you miss that flipper, then it falls through the hole and end. Then again, you start again. So material life is like that. We are pushed into this world, and then we knock here, knock there, jump here, jump there. Maya gives us a whack, a kick, and we try, but somehow or other, when we miss our mark and slip, pish, death. And then again, rebirth. And we are enjoying this, right? There are two kinds of living entities. The moving, which is called chara, chara, charam, chara and achara. The moving is called chara, such as human beings, animals, insects, and the non-moving achara, such as trees and mountains. Kṛṣna says that material nature, which controls both kinds of entities, is acting under his direction. Thus, behind everything, there is a supreme controller. Modern civilization does not understand this due to lack of knowledge. It is the purpose of the Society of Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, therefore, to enlighten all people who have been maddened by the influence of the three modes of material nature. In other words, our aim is to awaken mankind to its normal condition. Very powerful statement, mission statement. So, to the degree that we all agree that we are a little kind of crazy, right? There's just a little kind of craziness that we are attracted to something, not liking something else. Some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla. It's just a little kind of crazy. There's no point. It's just a mental situation. There are many universities, especially in the United States, and many departments of knowledge, but they are not discussing these points, Prabhupada said. Where is the department for the knowledge that we find given by Sri Krishna and Bhagavad Gita? This real knowledge, real reality of life, not how to make life more complicated by buildings, and now they're trying to create, electrical energy, thinking that it's more green, but it's also a foolishness in that. If you ask anyone who knows of how a power plant works, basically you burn petrol just to generate more electricity. So one way you're already burning petrol in your vehicles, now you're burning petrol still just to generate electricity. So the so-called e-vehicles create a lot of waste. So it appears in one sense like an illusion solution, but it's not. It's actually making life more complicated. We read how e-vehicles are suddenly bursting and burning and whatnot. It's just so messy. So Prabhupada says, when I spoke before students and some faculty members at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, very prestigious university in US, the first question raised was, where is the technological department which is investigating the difference between a dead man and a living man? What makes a person alive? Where is that department to understand this? When a man dies, something is lost. Where is the technology to replace it? Right? Where is that? Why don't scientists try to solve this problem? Because it is a very difficult subject matter. They set it aside and busily engage in the technology of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Right? So much research and science goes into a bed, how to sleep nicely, the perfect contour, the perfect material, the perfect ambience, just to sleep. But half the time when we fall asleep, we don't even remember where we are sleeping. However, Vedic literature informs us that this is animal technology. Animals are also trying their best to eat well, to have enjoyable sex life, to sleep peacefully, and to defend themselves. What is the difference between man's knowledge and animal's knowledge? The fact is that man's knowledge should be developed to explore the difference between a living man and a dead man, a living body and a dead body, to factually think, to pierce through the illusion of life, that is human life. That spiritual knowledge was imparted by Krishna to Arjuna in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Being a friend of Krishna's, Arjuna was a very intelligent man, but his knowledge, as all men's, are limited. Krishna spoke, however, of subject matters which were beyond Arjuna's finite knowledge. These subjects are called adokshaja because our direct perception by which we acquire material knowledge fails to approach them. The Lord, sometimes Krishna's one more name is adokshaja, that which is beyond perception. Adhokshaja, beyond uh, recognition, beyond understanding. Okay. For example, we have many powerful microscopes to see what we cannot see with our limited vision. But there is no microscope that can show us the soul within the body. Nevertheless, the soul is there. That means how subtle is the soul? Because of course it's spiritual in nature. The instrument is material. How can matter see spirit? So no matter how powerful microscope you build, you'll never see the spirit soul. But it exists. Bhagavad Gita informs us that in this body there is a proprietor, owner. I am the proprietor and others are the proprietor of their body. I say my hand, but not I hand. Since it is my hand, I am different from the hand, being its owner. Similarly, we speak of my eye, my leg, my this, my that. In the midst of all these objects which belong to me, where am I? Who is the I? This, because you even say my body, it means I'm not this body. The search for the answer to this question is the process of meditation. In real meditation, we ask, where am I? What am I? We cannot find the answers to these questions by any material effort. Right? We can't just sitting and speculating. Because all of these, because of this, all the universities are setting these questions aside. They say it is too difficult a subject, or they brush it aside. It is irrelevant. Thus, engineers direct their attention to creating and attempting to perfect the horseless carriage and wingless bird. Okay, a brilliant line by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, formerly, horses were drawing carriages and there was no air pollution. But now there are cars and rockets, and scientists are very proud. We have invented horseless carriages and wingless birds, they boast. So I was thinking, this line Prabhupada keeps repeating, horseless carriages, wingless birds, cars and aeroplanes. It sounds so amazing, political, like some big politician must have stated it or something. So I was doing some research and I could not find the exact article, but I came across a small excerpt of actually Gandhi. He had written an article where he says this line, horseless carriages and wingless birds. Gandhi is basically talking about how so-called science and advancement is not really helping people improve in their moral character or something. So we also know that Srila Prabhupada was at one point of time, follower of Gandhi. So I kind of like, perhaps I don't get the exact article. I just saw a reference online. But interesting, horseless carriages and wingless birds. Very nicely said, right? Probably it's a line by Gandhi then. Although they invent imitation wings for the aeroplane or rocket, they cannot invent a soulless body. So now they are trying to create robots, a robot teacher, AI waitress, AI this and that. But will they ever create an AI mother, AI robot mother which gives birth to other babies on its own? We don't know. Science say yes, we will do it. That's our success. But what is the success in that? You're just replacing yourself. But what about you? Where will you go then? When they are all able to actually do this, they will deserve credit when they can actually create a soulless body. But such an attempt would necessarily be frustrated, for we know that there is no machine that can work without a spirit behind it. Even the most complicated computers need trained men to handle them. So even if they create a whole race of AI machines or robots, there must be some spirit soul human being who's overseeing all this. Similarly, we should know that this great machine, which is known as the cosmic manifestation, is manipulated by the Supreme Spirit. That is Kṛṣṇa. Scientists are searching for the ultimate cause or the ultimate controller of this material universe, and are postulating different theories and proposals. But the real means for knowledge is very easy and perfect. We need only hear from the perfect person, Krishna. By accepting the knowledge imparted in Bhagavad Gita, anyone can immediately know that this great cosmic machine, of which the earth is a part, is working so wonderfully because there is a driver behind it, Krishna. So still, the madness of humankind is everything. No, no, no. One day I'll create a whole civilization where, they're all robots and AIs. That's our success. What success is there? Then Prabhupada says, our process is very easy. Our process of knowledge is very easy. Krishna's instruction, Bhagavad Gita, is the principal book of knowledge given by the Adi Purusha, the original person himself, the supreme primeval person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is indeed the perfect person. This line is amazing. No? Supreme primeval person, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Adi Purusha, the perfect person. It may be argued that although we have accepted him as a perfect person, there are many others who do not. So here's a typing mistake, but, not rut. But one should not think that this acceptance is whimsical. He is accepted as the perfect person on the evidence of many authorities. It's not a fan club. We are selecting Krishna as the authority. We do not accept Krishna as perfect simply on the basis of our whims or sentiments. No. Krishna is accepted as God by many Vedic authorities like Vyasadeva, the author of all Vedic literatures. The treasure house of knowledge is contained in the Vedas, and their author, Vyasadeva, accepts Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Vyasadev's spiritual master, Narada, also accepts Krishna as such. Narada's spiritual master, Brahma, accepts Krishna not only as the Supreme Person, but as the Supreme Controller as well. Ishvara Parama Krishna. The Supreme Controller is Krishna. There is no one in the creation who can claim that he is not controlled. This is a line for meditation. No one can claim that they are not controlled. Everyone, regardless of how important or powerful, has a controller over his head, isn't it? The very fact that, if suddenly you want to use the washroom for one number, two number, whatever, you cannot control it. Whoever you are, you may be the biggest military leader, biggest Hitler, biggest Napoleon, or whatever. Still, when this comes, you cannot control it. Krishna, however, has no controller. Therefore, he is God. There's no one above him. He is the controller of everyone, but there is no one superior to him, no one to control him, nor is there anyone equal to him, no one to share his platform of absolute control. This may sound very strange, for there are many so-called gods nowadays. So Prabhupada comes to this point. Indeed, gods have become very cheap, being especially imported from India, because Prabhupada is writing this in America. People in other countries are fortunate, Prabhupada says, that gods are not manufactured there. We don't see people claiming they are God in other countries, like US or Europe. But in India, Prabhupada writes, gods are manufactured practically every day. Every other day, some Tom, Dick, and Harry who comes up and says that I am God, my wife is the goddess, so on and so forth. We often hear that God is coming to Los Angeles or New York. God does a tour, right? Europe tour or something. So God is coming. And that people are gathering to receive him, etc. But Krishna is not the type of God manufactured in a mystic factory. He was not made God, but he is God. See the emphasis. Very, very interesting. We should know then, on the basis of authority, that behind this gigantic material nature, the cosmic manifestation, there is God, Krishna, and that he is accepted by all Vedic authorities. Acceptance of authorities is not new for us. This is a point Prabhupada is putting forward. That you might feel heavy, that thinking that Krishna is the only God, I have to listen, I have to follow him. My God, I want my independence, I'm a free person. Prabhupada said this idea of accepting authority is not new. Everyone accepts authority in some form or another. You may just not realize it. For education, we go to a teacher or to a school or simply learn from our father and our mother. They are all authorities. And our nature is to learn from them. Naturally, we learn from authorities. In our childhood, we asked, Father, what is this? And father would say, this is a pen. These are spectacles. Or this is a table. In this way, from the very beginning of life, a child learns from his father and mother. He learns the names of things and the basic relations of one thing to another by questioning his parents. A good father and mother never cheat when their son inquires from them. Right? When a child asks, the parents never cheat them. They give exact and correct information. Similarly, if we get spiritual information from an authority, if the authority is not a cheater, then our knowledge is perfect. So sadly, nowadays, there's so many people who want to make a big business out of spirituality, make a lot of money out of people's inquisitive sincerity, and therefore they cheat people by giving them half-baked knowledge. If we attempt to reach conclusions by dint of our own speculative powers, however, we are subject to fall into error, we'll be mistaken. The process of induction by which reasoning from particular facts or individual cases, induction means to induce, to think about, right? One can arrive at a general conclusion, is a never perfect process. They give you 5-6 facts and you think that maybe the murderer entered to the window, killed the guy and walked out to the door. Or maybe he entered to the door, killed the guy, then walked out to the window. Okay, the guy got killed. That's the most important thing, right? So how much we try to think and plan, it will not work. If someone has a CCTV, then one can actually see what happened. That's authority. Because we are limited to our experience, because our limited and our experience is limited, it is always remain imperfect. If we receive information from the perfect source, Kṛṣṇa, so Kṛṣṇa is like the Paramatma, Kṛṣṇa is the Paramatma, he's like the CCTV, the heart of everyone. He sees everything, knows everything, exact clear picture he can tell you. And if we repeat that information, like what we are doing, discussing Srila Prabhupada's books, then what we are speaking can also be accepted as perfect and authoritative. The process of parampara or disciplic succession is the very process of hearing from Kṛṣṇa or from authorities who have accepted Kṛṣṇa and repeating them exactly as they have said. But here also there's a problem, because the current modern day jivas so conditioned, we want some, how to say, excitement, something novel. So people like to speculate. They don't want to repeat as it is. They want to say, maybe it's like that. I'll create something new. I will. The whole modern education system is that, isn't it? When we study our postgraduate masters and PhD, it's always pushing you, find something new, find something new. I don't want to repeat, find something new. So we are pushed in that direction. So similarly, when people get or study Shastras, they will try to get a different perspective, a whole different view. Why? It gives them a satisfaction that I'm better. But that's not actually better. In Bhagavad Gita, Kṛṣṇa recommends this process of knowledge. Evam parampara praptam imam raja rishayo vidoho. Supreme science was received through the chain of disciplic succession. Formerly, knowledge was passed down by great saintly kings who were authorities. In previous ages, however, these kings were rishis, great learned scholars and devotees. And because they were not ordinary men, the government which they headed worked very nicely. There are many instances in Vedic civilization of kings who attained perfection as devotees of God. For example, Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest to search out God, and by practice of severe penance and austerity, found God within 6 months. Although he was only a 5-year-old prince with a very delicate body, he was successful because he followed the directions of his spiritual master Narada. The first month Dhruva Maharaj was in the forest, he simply ate fruits and vegetables once every 3 days and drank a little water once every 6 days. He finally restricted to his inhalation, his breath of air, and stood for 6 months on one leg only. After he executed his severe austerities for half a year, 6 months, God became manifest before him face to face. So this is the first 6 months self-realization program. Then Prabhupada writes, it is not necessary for us to practice such severe austerities. We cannot even think of imitating Dhruva Maharaj. But simply by following the footsteps of Vedic authorities, we also can see God face to face. The vision of God is the perfection of life. To see God, right, is the perfection of life. The Kṛṣṇa conscious process is based on austerity. My God. Prabhupada writes, Kṛṣṇa consciousness means austerity. Tapasya. But then Prabhupada writes, but it's not very difficult. So many of us have this experience before we fully taken up to Krishna consciousness. When we hear about all the things that devotees do, waking up early, chanting 16 rounds, following four regular principles, many of us felt that, my God, such a difficult life. I will never possibly do it in this lifetime, that maybe I have to take 10 births before I can do it. Someone may think like that. But then somehow or other, by the mercy of Vaishnavas, when we actually commit ourselves to the process, then we live a life and we are realizing that it's so easy. Why isn't the whole world doing it? Right? So it requires a lot of mercy. There are restrictions governing eating and sex life. Two main things. Only prasadam, food first offered to Krishna, is taken, and sex is restricted only to married life for begetting children. And there are other regulations which facilitate and foster spiritual realization. It is not possible in these days to imitate Dhruva Maharaj, but by following certain basic Vedic principles, we can make advancement in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. So here Prabhupada is recommending the four regular principles as basic human life, right? No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, and no illicit sex. As we advance, we become perfect in knowledge. What is the use in becoming a scientist or a philosopher if we cannot say what our next life will be? Can you imagine someone who's so intelligent, so-called in this life, scientist or philosopher, and then next life a person becomes a hog or a dog, right? What is the point of the philosophy or the whatever the person has done? A realized student of Krishna consciousness can very easily say what his next life is. What is God, what the living entity is, and what his relationship with God is. Then is a devotee in Krishna consciousness can actually clearly see the whole mechanism of this world, where I am currently, what I am, and where am I going. His knowledge is perfect because it is coming from perfect books of knowledge such as Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. This then is the process of Krishna consciousness. It is very easy, now Prabhupada says, and anyone can adopt it and make his life perfect. If someone says, I am not educated at all, I cannot read any books, he still is not disqualified. He still can perfect his life simply by chanting the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we have also seen many devotees who are illiterate, they can't read, they can't write, but they chant very sincerely, and Krishna within the heart gives them the perfect conclusions of knowledge. Somehow they hear and they get the idea and they get the knowledge. So it's possible. Krishna has given us a tongue and 2 ears. We may be surprised to know that Krishna is realized through the tongue and ears, the ears and tongue, not through the eyes. Right? So you are wants to see God. But the real seeing is, that is a verse that comes, Shrute Kshita Pato. Shruta Ikshana. Shruta means hearing, Ikshana means to see. Srutrekshana means to see or to see by hearing. Right? We see by hearing, not by eyes. By hearing his message, we learn to control the tongue, and after the tongue is controlled, the other senses follow. Of all the senses, the tongue is the most ferocious and difficult to control. Like our prasada mantra, we say, Lobho moe sudurmati. The tongue is so greedy, very difficult to control. But it can be controlled simply by chanting Hare Krishna and tasting Krishna prasadam, food offered to Krishna. So here we can accept the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, that if we are really serious about understanding the whole mechanism and nature of this life, who I am, what I'm doing, to get out of this illusion, to be cured from this mental disease, then we should really take this practice of chanting Hare Krishna and taking Krishna prasadam. We cannot understand Krishna by sensual perception or by speculation. Nowadays, Krishna has become such a sensual celebrity. Many people, youths, young boys and girls, they're attracted to Krishna, seeing him like a very sensuous person. They have no proper understanding. It is not possible for Krishna. It is not possible. For Krishna is so great that he is beyond our sensual range. You cannot perceive Krishna by senses. Na grayam, indrayam. You cannot understand, you cannot capture him by your senses. But he can be understood by surrender. Krishna therefore recommends this process. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. Give up all varieties of so-called religiousness, Just surrender unto me, and in return I shall protect you from all sinful reactions. Therefore, you have nothing to fear. Ma Suchaha. Unfortunately, our disease is that we are rebellious. We automatically resist authority. Yet, although we say that we don't want authority, nature is so strong that it forces authority upon us. So many of us also feel that I will not take any medicine, I will be this and that. But as we age, as time goes on, nature forces upon us that you must be medicated. How much you try to be free from the system, you will submit to the system, right? We are forced to accept the authority of nature. What can be more pathetic than a man who claims to answer to no authority, but who follows his senses blindly wherever they lead him? There's so many proud people saying, I have no authority. But then you're actually the servant of your own senses. Where your eyes take you, you follow. Where your ears take you, you follow. Where your tongue drags you, you follow. Our false claim to independence is simply foolishness. Better we accept our subordination. Better we accept the authority of Krishna. We are all under authority, yet we say that we don't want authority. This is called Maya, illusion. We do, however, have a certain independence. Prabhupada does admit we do have some independence. We can choose to be under the authority of our senses or the authority of Krishna. So we do have some level of independence, but if we choose the right authority, we will experience freedom. We will actually be happy. For example, students in school, right? So they have the independence that they can follow the school authority. If they follow the school authority, they'll feel so free. They'll follow the timetable, they'll find no issues. And generally, you see those who go against the school authority, the rebellious people, they are the ones who are always suffering. They are the ones who are always moaning, cribbing, complaining, right? Those who are trying to be artificially free. Similarly, in the state as well, if citizens just follow the law of the land, then they have no issues. They'll feel very happy. They can know when to go, when to come, follow the rules. They'll be very peaceful. But those who become rebellious against the state, they are the ones who suffer the most. Thinking they are being independent, but they're not. They're actually becoming more and more entrapped. The best and ultimate authority is Krishna, for he is our eternal well-wisher. He always speaks for our benefit. Since we have to accept some authority, why not accept his? And therefore, you see, when devotees, they take up the shelter of Krishna, become devotees, following the principles, chanting the mantra, still they become so light-hearted. And devotees are so happy and peaceful. Why? Because they're not rebelling against Krishna. Simply by hearing of his glories from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and by chanting his names, Hare Krishna, we can swiftly perfect our lives. So Hare Krishna, like this we see the first chapter, very interesting. How Prabhupada begins by saying that we all have some mental disease, right? And the goal is just to perfect and, come out of it. So thank you all very much. We'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.